tell you, you don't want to be late to breakfast here. Man, I'd hate to see what you do if you're late to church. But you know, Charles needed that more than anybody.
Whoa!
Get some of that righteous sweat going, boy, all over you. Well, boy, it's great to be here. But for me, it's great to be anywhere. My nephew Derek told me that I could not tell any jokes. He said they're not funny anyway. So I'll try to avoid those. I'd like to share a little bit about what God has done with my life. But before I start, how many of you ever listened to or watched Mike and Mike in the morning? ESP, okay. All right. I was watching Mike and Mike in the morning the other day, and one of the hosts, Mike Greenberg, made this statement, and it struck me and stuck with me, made me start to think. Sam Bradford had just won the Heisman Trophy, and Mike Greenberg said, Sam Bradford, from now on, he will be known as Sam Bradford, comma, the Heisman Trophy winner. Now what struck me about that was, not that it was Sam Bradford, the Heisman Trophy winner, but the fact that he said, comma. What's important, man, is what comes after the comma. What about you? What about me? What comes after the comma in your life? In my life, my testimony, there are some definite events in my life that change what comes after the comma. Better understand this, I need to kind of give you a little background of my life before, after the comma change. And a lot of that has to do with the biggest influence in my life, and that was my dad. You know, like a lot of men, a lot of young men, my dad was my hero. I wanted to be just like him. So you need to understand about my dad. He was one of the only men I know, one of the few, that was awarded 16 varsity letters in a high school career. Football, basketball, wrestling, and track. In a small town called Cody, Wyoming, up by Yellowstone. Getting to be known as also the hometown of Mike Leach, the head coach at Texas Tech. My dad then went on from high school career to dual scholarships in football and wrestling at the University of Wyoming. And I wanted to be like my dad, but my dad's career choice made that prospect substantially more difficult. When I was born in Cody, Wyoming, my dad at that time was ranching. He was a rancher, was a professional rodeo cowboy and rodeo clown, or bullfighter as they call them today. And when I was born, Mom told Dad, you got a family now. You need to get a real job. Rodeoing wasn't paying very good back then. So my dad decided to go into the oil business. Went to work in the newly discovered oil fields in northern Wyoming. And because of that, Dad moved the family a lot. Wherever there was a new field to be developed, Dad would move. Wherever there was a job promotion, Dad would move. We counted it up. We moved about 17 times by the time I was 17 years old. Not a lot of stability there. You know, you've heard of being a military brat. I was an oil brat. One day, we were living in Casper, Wyoming. How many of you ever been to Casper, Wyoming? Dead of winter. Woo! You think it was cold this morning? This shirt sleeve weather in Casper right now. And Dad was working oil business, and he comes into the house and tells Mom, "We're moving." Mom said, "No big deal. I get the boxes out in the garage. We're ready to go." Dad said, "No, this one's going to take a little bit more than the moving truck. We're moving to Kuwait." My mom did a double take. There was silence. She said, "Where is that, in Colorado?" No, a little bit further away. You got to go get the globe out to find where we were moving from. You know, understand, we had never really, and we'd been all around Wyoming and northern Colorado, but that was it. I mean, you know, we had never been anywhere else. December 1965, Dad had already gone to Kuwait several months before. Left Mom with myself and my two younger sisters to get us ready to start this great adventure. I was 10 years old, and Dad loaded us up on our first, we loaded up on our first airplane ride from Casper to Denver to New York. We got to New York City, and I just got to share this story. You know, back then in 1965, you know, travel was not as leisurely as it is now. You know, we were dressed up. Boy, I remember I was wearing nice slacks, nice shirt. My sisters were wearing dresses. My mom was in a dress with heels and, you know, the whole shooting match. And we got to New York, and Mom was getting pretty frazzled. And we get on the plane and get to London, England. We land in London, and Mom's really frazzled by now. Passports, tickets, kids, you know, everything. And there was an oil man that saw Mom and took pity on her. He said, "Ma'am," and he introduced himself, "Tell me where you're going." She said, "I'm going to Kuwait to kill my husband." He said, "You stick with me and I'll get you there." I believe Mom would have followed him to the men's room if he'd have done that. We get to Kuwait, Arabia. We land at night.